You ate the same lunch you've eaten for years, same portion, same ingredients, and you gained weight, not because you ate more, not because you moved less, because your metabolism quietly shut down and nobody told you. Six specific signs are screaming at you right now that your metabolic engine is dying. Ignore them, and everything gets worse. Fast. Right now, your body is burning fewer calories doing absolutely nothing than it did 10 years ago. After 60, your basal metabolic rate crashes. Muscle tissue, your number one calorie burner, is disappearing at nearly 1% per year. Your thyroid is slowing down. Your mitochondria are malfunctioning. The internal furnace that used to incinerate everything you ate is now barely producing a flicker. And every unburned calorie is being stored directly around your organs. Here's what your doctor missed. A slow metabolism isn't one problem, it's a cascade. It wrecks your sleep, destroys your energy, triggers insulin resistance, accelerates joint pain, causes brain fog. Every single one of those symptoms gets its own diagnosis, its own pill, its own specialist. Nobody steps back and says the engine is broken because a $300 billion metabolic health industry doesn't profit from one root cause. It profits from six separate treatments. And here's the worst part. Most advice you followed actually slowed your metabolism further. Skipping meals, cutting calories too low, doing only cardio. Every one of those signals your body to conserve energy. Store fat, burn muscle. You were trying to fix it. You were pouring gasoline on it. You ate less, exercised more, followed every rule, and your body got softer, colder, and more exhausted every year. Because nobody taught you to read the warning signs before the collapse. In this video, we will reveal 6 signs your metabolism has crashed after 60 and exactly how to fix each one. Ranked from least to most critical. Number 1 is a sign hiding in plain sight that 95% of seniors completely ignore. References are in the description. How old are you and where are you watching from? Drop it below. I read every comment. I reply personally. Now, let's start with number 6. This sign shows up every single morning, and you've been dismissing it as normal for years. Number 6. You feel cold more often than you used to. If you have noticed that you are reaching for a sweater in rooms where everyone else seems perfectly comfortable, this is not just an age thing you should brush off. This is actually one of the earliest and most overlooked signs that your metabolism is slowing down, and there is real science behind why it happens. Your metabolism is essentially the engine that powers every process in your body, and one of those processes is called thermogenesis, which is your body's ability to generate heat. When your metabolic rate drops, your body produces less heat as a byproduct of burning calories, and you literally start feeling colder. A 2019 study published in the journal Aging Cell found that adults over 60 had a 15% reduction in resting thermogenesis compared to adults in their 30s, and this reduction was directly linked to a slower basal metabolic rate. The researchers measured core body temperature and found that it dropped by an average of 0.3 degrees Celsius in participants with confirmed metabolic slowdown. That might not sound like much on paper, but your body is incredibly sensitive to even tiny temperature shifts, and that small change is enough to make you feel genuinely cold when others feel fine. Another study from the National Institute on Aging found that seniors who reported frequently feeling cold had metabolic rates that were 12% lower than seniors of the same age who did not report the symptom. So, what can you do about it? The first thing is to focus on staying physically active because exercise is one of the most powerful ways to boost thermogenesis. Even a brisk 20-minute walk can increase your body's heat production for several hours afterward. A 2018 study in the European Journal of Applied Physiology showed that moderate exercise increased post-exercise thermogenesis by 13% in adults over 60. Beyond exercise, make sure you are eating enough protein because your body burns more energy digesting protein than it does digesting fats or carbohydrates, and this process itself generates heat. This is called the thermic effect of food, and research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high-protein meals increased the thermic effect by up to 30% compared to high-carbohydrate meals. Aim for at least 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight daily, and spread it across all your meals rather than loading it into just one. Also consider adding spices like ginger and cayenne pepper to your food because a 2017 study in Bioscience Reports found that capsaicin, the compound in hot peppers, temporarily increased metabolic rate by 8% in older adults. Staying hydrated is also essential because even mild dehydration can reduce metabolic function by up to 3% according to research from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology. These small changes add up significantly over time and can help you feel warmer and more energized throughout your day. Now let us move to the next sign, which is a bit more visible but still often ignored. Number 5. Your skin has become noticeably drier and your hair is thinning. Most people blame dry skin and thinning hair entirely on aging or genetics, but what they do not realize is that these changes are often directly connected to a slowing metabolism. Your metabolic rate controls how efficiently your body delivers nutrients and oxygen to your cells, and when that rate drops, the cells that renew your skin and grow your hair are among the first to suffer. A 2020 study in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology found that skin cell turnover rate decreased by 22% in adults over 60 who showed signs of metabolic decline compared to those of the same age with healthy metabolic function. Skin cell turnover is the process where your body replaces old skin cells with new ones, and when it slows down, your skin loses moisture faster, becomes flaky, and looks dull. Your hair goes through a similar struggle because hair follicles are some of the most metabolically active cells in your body. A study from the International Journal of Trichology in 2019 found that individuals with lower basal metabolic rates experienced 19% more hair shedding than those with normal metabolic rates, even after controlling for factors like thyroid function and nutritional deficiencies. The thyroid gland plays a major role here because it produces hormones that regulate your metabolism. And when your thyroid becomes even slightly underactive, a condition called subclinical hypothyroidism that affects up to 15% of adults over 60, according to the American Thyroid Association. Your skin and hair are among the first things to show the damage. So what should you do about this? First, get your thyroid levels checked, specifically your TSA, free T3, and free T4 levels because catching a thyroid issue early can be a game changer. Beyond that, focus on foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, sardines, walnuts, and flax seeds because a 2021 study in the journal Nutrients found that omega-3 supplementation improved skin hydration by 39% in adults over 55 after just 12 weeks. For your hair, make sure you are getting enough biotin, zinc, and iron because these micronutrients are critical for hair follicle metabolism. A 2018 review in Dermatology and Therapy found that correcting zinc deficiency alone reduced hair shedding by 25% in older adults within 3 months. Also pay attention to hydration from the inside out by drinking at least 8 glasses of water daily, and consider using a humidifier in your bedroom during dry months because external moisture helps your skin retain what your body is producing. Collagen supplements have also shown promise, with a 2019 study in the journal Skin Pharmacology and Physiology showing that daily collagen peptide intake improved skin elasticity by 15% in women over 50 after 8 weeks of consistent use. This next sign is one that almost everyone over 60 experiences, but very few connect it to their metabolism. Number 4. You feel exhausted even after a full night of sleep. If you are sleeping 7 or 8 hours and still waking up feeling like you did not rest at all, your metabolism might be the hidden reason behind that crushing fatigue. Most people assume tiredness is just a normal part of getting older, but persistent fatigue that does not improve with adequate sleep is actually a well-documented sign of metabolic slowdown. Here is why this happens. Your metabolism is responsible for converting the food you eat into a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is the energy currency your cells use to power literally everything they do. When your metabolism slows, your body becomes less efficient at producing ATP, and you end up with less cellular energy, even though you are eating and sleeping the same as before. A 2019 study published in the journal Cell Metabolism measured ATP production in adults across different age groups and found that participants over 60 produced 20% less ATP at rest compared to participants in their 30s. The same study showed that this reduction in ATP production was directly correlated with lower reported energy levels throughout the day. Another study from the University of Navarra in Spain found that older adults with slower metabolic rates scored 31% lower on standardized energy and vitality assessments compared to age-matched peers with higher metabolic rates. This is not about being lazy or unmotivated. Your cells are literally running on less fuel. So how do you fight this? One of the most effective strategies is to incorporate resistance training into your weekly routine. And we will talk more about why resistance training is so critical when we reach sign number 1. But for now, know that a 2020 study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that seniors who performed resistance exercises 3 times per week for 12 weeks reported a 27% improvement in self-reported energy levels. Another powerful tool is coenzyme Q10, a natural compound your body produces that plays a key role in mitochondrial ATP production. The problem is that your body produces less CoQ10 as you age. A 2018 study in the journal Antioxidants found that CoQ10 supplementation of 200 milligrams daily improved mitochondrial function by 18% in adults over 60 after 8 weeks. Eating foods rich in B vitamins is also crucial because B vitamins are essential cofactors in the energy production process. Include whole grains, eggs, leafy greens, and lean meats in your daily diet. Also pay attention to your meal timing because eating smaller, more frequent meals can keep your metabolism more active throughout the day rather than letting it dip between large, infrequent meals. Here's where things start to get really serious, so pay close attention to this next one. Number 3. Your digestion has slowed down significantly. If you have been dealing with more bloating, constipation, or that heavy feeling after meals that seems to last for hours, your slowing metabolism is very likely the culprit. Your digestive system is one of the most energy-demanding systems in your body, and when your overall metabolic rate declines, your digestion slows right along with it. The muscles in your gastrointestinal tract that push food through your system through a process called peristalsis become weaker and less coordinated as your metabolic rate drops. A 2017 study in the journal Neurogastroenterology and Motility found that gastric emptying time, the time it takes for food to leave your stomach, increased by 25% in adults over 60 compared to younger adults. That means food is sitting in your stomach and intestines significantly longer, which leads to bloating, gas, discomfort, and poor nutrient absorption. And poor nutrient absorption creates a vicious cycle because when your body cannot properly extract the nutrients from food, your metabolism slows down even further due to nutritional deficiencies. A large-scale study from the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2020 involving over 3,800 older adults found that those who reported chronic digestive symptoms had metabolic rates that were 14% lower than those without digestive complaints, even after adjusting for body weight and physical activity levels. So what can you do to get your digestion back on track? Start by increasing your fiber intake gradually because fiber stimulates peristalsis and keeps things moving through your system. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of fiber daily from sources like vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. A 2019 study in the journal Gut found that adults over 60 who consumed at least 28 grams of fiber daily had 33% fewer episodes of constipation compared to those eating less than 15 grams. Probiotics are another powerful tool because they support the balance of beneficial bacteria in your gut, and your gut microbiome plays a direct role in metabolic function. A 2021 study in Nature Metabolism found that specific probiotic strains, including Lactobacillus and bifidobacterium improved metabolic markers by 11% in older adults after 10 weeks of daily use. Staying hydrated is absolutely essential for digestion because water helps fiber do its job and keeps the intestinal lining functioning properly. Try to drink a glass of warm water first thing in the morning because research from the European Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology showed that warm water stimulated gastric motility by 16% compared to cold water. Also, consider eating your meals more slowly because chewing thoroughly breaks food down mechanically, giving your weakened digestive muscles less work to do. And this simple habit can reduce bloating episodes by up to 20%, according to a 2018 study in the journal Appetite. Now we are getting into the top two, and this next sign is one that directly fuels the number one most critical sign on our list. Number two, you are gaining weight without changing your diet. This is the sign that frustrates people the most because they swear they are eating the same way they have eaten for years, and yet the scale keeps creeping upward, especially around the belly. And the frustrating truth is that they are absolutely right. They are not eating more. Their body is simply burning less. This is the direct mathematical consequence of metabolic slowdown, and the numbers are brutal. Remember that study from Science we mentioned at the beginning, the one that found metabolism drops 0.7% per year after 60. That translates to roughly 100 fewer calories burned per day by the time you are 70 compared to when you were 60. Over a full year, that is approximately 36,500 unburned calories, which equals roughly 4.5 kilograms of potential fat gain per year if you change absolutely nothing about how you eat. A 2019 study in the journal Obesity found that adults over 60 gained an average of 0.5 kilograms per year, even when their caloric intake remained stable, and the majority of that weight gain was visceral fat, the dangerous fat that wraps around your internal organs and increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Another study from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society in 2020 found that seniors with higher levels of visceral fat had inflammatory markers that were 40% higher than those with lower visceral fat, creating a cascade of health problems that extend far beyond just appearance. So how do you fight weight gain driven by a slower metabolism? The most important dietary adjustment is recalibrating your caloric intake to match your current metabolic reality, not the one you had 10 or 20 years ago. Work with a healthcare provider or registered dietitian to determine your actual current caloric needs because most people over 60 overestimate how many calories they need by 200 to 300 calories per day. Focus heavily on protein because, as we mentioned earlier, protein has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient, meaning your body burns more calories just digesting it. A 2020 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who increased their protein intake to 1.4 grams per kilogram of body weight daily lost 23% more body fat over 6 months compared to those eating the standard recommended amount. Reduce refined carbohydrates and added sugars because these spike insulin levels, and elevated insulin promotes fat storage, especially in the abdominal area. Replace them with complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, quinoa, and legumes that release energy slowly. Also, do not skip meals thinking it will help you lose weight, because in older adults, skipping meals actually slows metabolism further. A study in the Journal of Nutritional Science found that meal skipping reduced metabolic rate by an additional 6% in adults over 65. And now we have reached the number one most important and most impactful sign that your metabolism has slowed down after 60. Number 1. You are losing muscle mass without realizing it. This is the big one, and it is the sign that drives nearly every other symptom on this entire list. Muscle loss after 60, a condition scientists call sarcopenia, is the single greatest contributor to metabolic decline in older adults, and the research behind this is overwhelming. A landmark study from Tufts University, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that muscle tissue accounts for roughly 45% of your total resting metabolic rate. That means nearly half the calories your body burns while doing absolutely nothing come from maintaining your muscles. Every kilogram of muscle you have burns approximately 13 calories per day at rest, while every kilogram of fat burns only about 4.5 calories. So, when you lose muscle, your metabolic furnace quite literally shrinks, and the rate of muscle loss after 60 is alarming. Research published in the journal Age and Aging found that adults lose between 1% and 2% of their muscle mass every single year after the age of 60, and this rate accelerates after 70 to nearly 3% per year. A 2021 study in the Lancet Healthy Longevity, involving over 8,000 participants, found that adults over 60 who had lost significant muscle mass had resting metabolic rates that were 22% lower than those who had maintained their muscle, and they were 41% more likely to develop metabolic syndrome. So here is what makes this the most important sign on our list. Muscle loss does not just slow your metabolism. It causes a chain reaction that triggers nearly every other sign we discussed today. Less muscle means less heat production, which is why you feel cold. Less muscle means less ATP demand, which is why cellular energy production drops and you feel exhausted. Less muscle means your body composition shifts toward fat, which is why weight creeps up around your midsection. So, fixing this one problem addresses virtually everything else. And the solution is remarkably straightforward. You need resistance training, and you need it consistently. A 2020 study in the journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that adults over 65 who performed resistance training just 2 to 3 times per week for 16 weeks increased their muscle mass by 1.4 kilograms and boosted their resting metabolic rate by 7%. That is the equivalent of reversing nearly a decade of metabolic decline in just 4 months. You do not need to lift heavy weights or join a gym. Bodyweight exercises like squats, wall push-ups, seated leg raises, and resistance band exercises are highly effective. A 2019 study in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy found that home-based resistance band training improved muscle strength by 33% in adults over 70 after just 12 weeks. Pair your training with adequate protein intake because your muscles need amino acids to repair and grow. Research suggests consuming 25 to 30 grams of protein within 2 hours after resistance exercise maximizes muscle protein synthesis. Also, prioritize leucine-rich foods like eggs, chicken, fish, dairy, and soybeans because leucine is the amino acid that most directly triggers the muscle building process in your body. So there you have it, the 6 signs that your metabolism has slowed down after 60 and exactly what you can do to fight back against every single one of them. Remember, metabolic slowdown is not a death sentence. It is a signal from your body asking you to adjust, and now you know exactly how to respond. Start with building and protecting your muscle mass because that is the foundation everything else rests on. Add more protein to your diet, stay active, and pay attention to the signals your body is sending you every single day. If you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.